How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to Lead Therapy, and thank you so very much for taking time for tuning into my video. With everything that's been going on with the attack on our Second Amendment and all these proposed bans, I had forgotten that this was a thing, and that's the NICS Denial Notification Act, which was passed and signed into law sometime in March. We all know that there's a lot of animosity in the gun community towards the ATF. It's a real thing. After all, the ATF doesn't seem to care very much about how they are perceived. And that works into the video that I was working on yesterday that hopefully I'll have out either later this evening or tomorrow morning. Sure, they've tried to bust a few supposed myths, but beyond that, they're not doing much to improve their image. Then again, it doesn't seem to help when they decide to overstep their bounds. It seems that at least some gun stores are receiving the following letter from the ATF. And I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can follow along with me. NICS Denial Notification Act. Synopsis. On or around September 26, 2022, FFLs will be prompted to provide the address of the buyer on all denied or delayed transactions. The Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2022 was signed into law on March 15, 2022. Section 11.01 of the Act includes the NICS Denial Notification Act of 2022. The Act requires the Attorney General to report background check denials to state authorities and will require the FBI Criminal Justice Information Services Division's National Instant Criminal Background Check System NICS section to report all FBI NICS denied transactions to local law enforcement within 24 hours beginning October 1st, 2022. The NICS section plans to implement this change on September 26, 2022. The denial notification will include the date and time of the denial, the reason for the denial, the location of the FFL, and the identity of the person. The NICS denial notification will be transmitted electronically to the appropriate receiving authorities within each state based on the city, state, county, and zip code combination of the FFL location and the city, state, county, and if different, the zip code combination of the attempted transferee home address. If at any time the original denial is changed to a proceed, an updated notification to those agencies originally notified will be required. The NICS section is working diligently on developing the tools to make this notification as seamless as possible. To make the necessary notifications, all FFLs will be required to provide the buyer's complete address as recorded on the ATF Form 4473. For FFLs who initiate a check by contacting the NICS Contracted Call Center, NCCC, the address will be required if the customer receives a delay or denial status. The information will be required before the status is provided by the NCCC. For FFLs that initiate the check through the NICS e-check, the address will be required if the customer receives a delay or denied response. The response will not be retrievable until the information is provided. Once the system is updated to allow for the capturing of this information, an additional notification will be provided. In addition, if the transfer occurs at a qualifying gun show, future programming may allow for the full address of the gun show location to be entered also. But the even more crappier thing, the ATF is demanding contact information for delayed NICS checks. For the uninitiated, this may make perfect sense. After all, we don't know if these delayed checks are criminals trying to buy guns or not. Except that's literally not how the law works. A delayed background check is supposed to be treated as a pass check. And if you worked at an FFL or spent a lot of time in an FFL purchasing firearms, and you get to know the employees there, you will know at least a minimum of 90% of the delayed checks are people with no criminal history. The system just created a delay for some unfathomable reason. And let's all note that the letter doesn't differentiate between a 2-day delay where the check comes back clean or one where there's never a return at all. In other words, if you have a delay of a single day when trying to buy a gun, the ATF wants your information sent to them, just as you were a convicted felon trying to buy a firearm. And of course, this is extremely problematic and worrying. However, it's not also the only thing we've seen out of the ATF of late that should raise our levels of concern. For example, let's not forget the gentleman in Delaware who had agents come to his home demanding to see if he still had firearms he lawfully purchased without even probable cause. He's done anything illegal. Then we have an ATF agent who took photos of sales records at a gun store. These instances suggest that we're watching the ATF declare war on gun owners. Couple that with the federal government's focus on firearm accessories like holsters and scopes in the Commodity Flow Survey. And it shows this isn't just an agency trying to run amok. No, this looks and smells an awful lot like a federal government that's interested in knowing exactly who bought guns and where to find them. That's basically all a gun registry is. And we all know that the purpose of a gun registry isn't to combat crime. It isn't to root out gang members and drug dealers. It's only a tool that's only useful for those wishing to confiscate firearms. And the Biden administration sure as hell looks to be setting up exactly that. And I'm not concocting a conspiracy theory or anything. But this isn't just a rumor. This isn't just a few guys reporting something on the internet and people losing their minds over it. No, these are documented instances that anyone can look at and examine themselves. Taken individually, any of these could be troubling, but also might be explained away somewhat easily. Taken in totality, though, it's much harder to do that. Now, I'm not recommending that you do this, but here is what some gun store employees are telling their customers. If you live in a state where your carry permit can be used to bypass the NICS check, use it. If you're in a constitutional carry state and don't need a permit, get one anyway for that purpose, if nothing at all. No background check, no delays. In the meantime, we've got a problem with the ATF, and for sure it needs to be addressed. As always, let me know your thoughts about the story in the comments section down below. And if you enjoyed the video, or if I gave you some information you didn't know, please take time to like, share, and subscribe and hit those post notifications. And I will see you guys in the next video.